second pumpkin spice latte of the season and I'm feeling fine. Today I have some fall book recommendations for you, and they're very specific because they're based on your fall aesthetic. I've got 3 fall aesthetics for you. I have a good feeling that you are going to fall into one of these categories. Let's start with Meg Ryan Fall. Fall starts for you on the first day of September. It doesn't matter if it's hot outside or if it's chilly, there is some sort of magic on the first day of September that just screams fall. You were first in line to get your pumpkin spice latte, a classic. You're eating heated apple pie with ice cream on the side. The perfect fall day for you is strolling through tree-lined streets, browsing through bookstores for the perfect paperback. You're rocking cozy turtlenecks, cable knit sweaters, loafers, and you start decorating for fall end of August. You've got twinkle lights, of course, strewn all about. More twinkle lights, please. Pumpkins everywhere, and lovely warm throws on every piece of furniture of your house. What are you watching? Of course you're watching You've Got Mail. You know that that's the quintessential Nora Ephron fall movie, and of course a little bit of When Harry Met Sally on repeat as well. I have 4 books to recommend to you. The first is The Dutch House by Ann Patchett. This is about family and about place and home, and how you can always be drawn repeatedly to a home. This follows siblings. Danny and Maeve are grown-ups now, but they find themselves coming back to the house that they grew up in over and over again, where they've been exiled essentially. Their stepmom doesn't want them there, but their father built this house. He renovated it from the ground up, and it is glass and odd, but truly their father in every way, shape, and form. And you follow these siblings in the present and in the past, learning about their kind of strange childhood, a little bit comical at times, but it's that place, that feeling of home. And there's something about home in the fall and the desire to hunker down. I think that you will love this book. The next book I would recommend to you is A Keeper. This is a little darker for you, perhaps, but it is rooted in family again and finding out who you are and just delving into that a little bit. So we follow a woman named Elizabeth. She's coming home to Ireland after her mom passes away, and she's got to go through the house that she grew up in and kind of get rid of her stuff, figure out what she's going to do. And she comes upon a stack of letters that her mom has kept secret from her entire life. And she suddenly finds out a lot about the history of her mom and the history of her own identity in these letters. I loved every second of this book. Graham Norton is funny in real life. He has his own like TV show that's quite comical, where he interviews all sorts of celebrities and everything, but there is depth to this man, and this book shows it. It's my favorite of his books. Highly recommend. Now, I wouldn't be much of a Kathleen Kelly fan if I didn't recommend a little bit of children's lit, and so of course I have to recommend The Golden Compass to you, which I think Kathleen Kelly would be selling at the bookshop around the corner all through the fall and winter months. This follows a little girl named Lyra. She lives in Oxford, and when she discovers that her uncle is in town, she kind of hides away to listen in to the adult conversation, and she overhears that children are being stolen, and she wants to discover why, especially when one of her dear friends is stolen. And this follows Lyra on a fascinating, fantastical quest and adventure with polar bears, witch clans, and daemons. It is incredible. Now, the last book I want to recommend to you, I will tell you, I have not read myself, but I want to read it this fall. I'll read it with you. This is Brooklyn. I'm sure you've watched the movie. If you're anything like me, you've watched it over and over and over again. This is set in the 1950s in Ireland, and we follow a young woman, and she knows that she has to leave Ireland. There are not enough jobs. It's just she has more opportunities in New York. And so she sets sail across the pond to New York and tries to settle in and make a life for herself there. I absolutely adore the movie. As I said, I could watch it a million times and never get bored. So I have a feeling I'm going to feel the same about the book. He also just came out with a sequel to this summer. So if we like this book, we can go ahead and read the sequel. How perfect is that? Not a Meg Ryan Fall? Maybe you're a Witchy Fall. You know the truth that fall actually starts on the autumnal equinox. This is about that balance between light and dark. You like to spend your fall days hiking through forests and maybe doing some tarot card reading with friends while sipping herbal teas, matcha lattes, and a little mulled wine. You opt for long dresses and slouchy sweaters and maybe some Doc Martens. In the fall, your home is filled with candles. Candles on every surface. You've got velvet pillows in dual colors of like dark purple and orange and like rusty reds. A few crystals here and there popped on various shelves. And you might be watching Coraline if you're feeling cozy. You might be watching The Witch or Sleepy Hollow. Maybe you're even watching some good old-fashioned Buffy reruns. If you think you're a Witchy Fall, I would highly recommend The Familiars by Stacey Halls for you. This is a historical fiction dark book. This is set in the 1600s in England, and we follow a young woman named Fleetwood. She has had multiple miscarriages, and she is desperate to bring a child into the world for her husband. She is pregnant now and stumbles upon a letter addressed to her husband from her doctor, which says like this baby and no baby is actually going to come to term with Fleetwood. And she's desperate and sad, and so she leaves her home and goes to find a woman named Alice who's meant to be quite good with babies. And so she asks Alice for her help, and Alice says, absolutely, I will help you bring a child into this world. You can trust me. But soon Alice is standing trial for witchcraft. Fleetwood finds herself in a really desperate and terrible situation. I got a couple of classics suggested for you here as well. And the first one just screams fall to me, and that is Jane Eyre. This follows Jane, who is alone in the world. Her cousins don't care for her, and she finds herself going from living with her aunt who doesn't care for her, her cousins who don't care for her, moving to a school where she's kind of the odd one out as well, and then eventually becoming a governess. This book is dark, and there are brooding characters in here, but Jane is so quiet and sweet, but confident. And you'll just fall in love with this woman who really has no reason to have that quiet confidence based on what she's been dealt in this world, but finds it within herself. I just think you will love this if you haven't read it already. And if you did read it like 10 years ago, read it again. This is the type of book that you'll find something new about the book and about yourself every time you read it. Ready for a fun one? This is Her Majesty's Royal Coven. This is a series. This is the first in the series by Juno Dawson, and I just loved this. I have the second book in the series on my Kobo ready to go. This follows 4 young women. We follow Helena, Leonie, Neve, and Elle, and they have all taken the pledge to become part of Her Majesty's Royal Coven, established by Queen Elizabeth I. They make that pledge, and we follow them years later. We kind of flash forward when many of these women aren't together anymore. Some have left the Coven. One of them is the head of the Coven. But now a young warlock has been discovered with incredible powers that could threaten the Coven itself. And these women are brought back together. The last classic I'll suggest for you is The Turn of the Screw. So good. This follows a governess who goes to a home in which the children tend to see people out on the grounds. Are these people real? Are they ghosts? Are they in these children's heads? Are they in the governess's head? You'll have to read it to find out. This will have you on the edge of your seat, and it has been the inspiration for countless ghost stories. But I think you gotta read the classic. Finally, the last fall persona aesthetic that you could be, in my mind, Dark Academia Fall. Fall starts naturally when school is back in session, and you are spending your fall afternoons going to libraries, maybe old bookstores. You are first in line at the latest museum exhibits, and your local cafe knows your order by heart. You are rocking tweed jackets, Oxford shirts, and of course, a leather satchel to hold all of your books. And when it comes time to decorate for fall, you like to decorate with florals. So you've got like burgundy dahlias all over. You've got vintage books and vintage typewriters, maybe the odd taxidermy bird or two. And you are watching a lot of moody stuff. Gosford Park, Dead Poets Society, Ripley on Netflix, so good. I've got a few book recommendations for you. The first is The Likeness by Tana French. This is the second in the Dublin Murder Squad series. You can pop into this series anywhere you want to. I loved this book. It follows Cassie, who has left the Dublin Murder Squad, but she's dating somebody on the squad. He calls her one day to come and check out a murder scene. And when she gets there, she looks at the body, and this woman looked exactly like her. It could be her double. And in order to find out what in the world happened to this girl, because they have no leads whatsoever, Cassie decides to go undercover. And she joins a group of university students. I think they're all doing like their masters or their PhDs. They all live in this crumbling home together. And she is trying to pretend to be the dead woman and suggest that that woman is still alive, and try to infiltrate and try to figure out who killed this woman, why they had a motive against her. I loved every second of this book. I loved every second of the entire series, if I'm being honest. But this book, there was something about it that just absolutely screamed fall to me. And I think that you'll like it too. Next is Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. This is the type of book where you are better to go in a little bit blind. This does follow Kathy, Ruth, and Tommy. When they were young, they all went to like a boarding school together in the English countryside. It was secluded. They spent their time there, and it does flash forward to Kathy. She's a young woman, and these people come back into her life, and things from her childhood, essentially teenagehood, comes flooding back to her. It is a bizarre story, and such a hard gut punch as you read and start to figure out and unpack what is going on here. Absolutely odd and amazing. A little lighter, but still dark, is The It Girl by Ruth Ware. This is one of my favorite Ruth Ware books. This follows a woman named Hannah. She is pregnant, and she has recently discovered that the man that she put behind bars might have actually been innocent. We go backwards in time to Oxford, When Hannah was in Oxford, her current husband was in Oxford. That's where they met. She had a roommate named April, who she adored. April was a little bit, she was the it girl. And so Hannah really wanted to be liked by April, and she did everything she could to be liked. But April had her good parts and her bad parts to her. One day, April is murdered, and Hannah believes at the time that it was John Neville, a porter at Oxford, and she puts this man behind bars. And now she's discovered he probably didn't do it at all. And she's pregnant and absolutely desperate to know what happened to April. She won't let it go. She is like a dog with a bone. And maybe for her safety and the safety of her child, she should let it go. But that's not going to happen. I really love that one. Next is the Divines. So this follows a woman named Josephine. And Josephine is remembering a time in the 90s when she lived in Britain at a boarding school. And she hasn't spoken to the Divines. They all call themselves the Divines, these girls. She hasn't spoken to anybody in ages. The place that she went to school has since been shut down, I believe, because of what happened during her year. Something devastating happened and everything was shut down. So she is actually coming back to visit, and all of these memories are flooding into her memory again. It's all coming up, and she's remembering things not quite right, but not quite wrong either. She's trying to sort that out. And she might need the help of a couple of other Divines to figure that out. If you had some mean girls in your teenage life, this might bring some stuff up for you, but I would highly recommend the Divines. Those are all the books that I wanted to recommend to you. So let me know in the comments below, are you a Meg Ryan Fall? Are you a Witchy Fall? Are you a Dark Academia Fall? I would love to know. And let me know what you think I am, because I kind of feel like I'm a mix of all of them. In any case, I will talk with you soon. Bye.